Well, people, I always enjoy a good documentary. You know what I mean? Also, a documentary that shines a light on something that you don't necessarily know, right? Delves into something that you enjoy, but you never realize this side of it, you know? So, yeah, I was happy to take a look at Girls Can't Surf, right? So this is directed by Christopher Nelius. He co-wrote it with Julie-Anne De Ruvo. It is produced by Nelius and Michaela Persk, right? It is executive produced by Paul Wygard, um, Rob Galuzio. It is co-produced by Ghislaine Cuvelat. Um, it is associate produced by Camilla Mazzaferio. Um, yeah, I think that's probably um, yeah. Let's leave it at that. I feel music is from Hayden Walker. Cinematography is Anna Howard. Um, the Ruvio, she also edits the film. Production design is Cherie Phillips. Makeup is Amy Kazar, Karen Davidson, and Donna Korn. Production management is Kiki Dillon. We've got Mike Boston, Bowen Elms, Marco Elliott, Ed Hall, Aaron Halsey, Catherine Rain, and Paul Sarpo on graphics and all of that jazz. And in the film, right, we have got Jolene and Georgia Smith, right? They were on the tour in 84 to 90. We've got Jodie Cooper, who was around 83 to 93. Frida Zamba, who was around 82 to 92. Pam Burridge, 80 to 98. Right? Wendy Boffer is 84 to 93. Pauline Menzer, who's 89 to 2005. Ian Keynes, right? ASP founder and a pro surfer. We've got Nick Carroll, a surf journalist and a former surfer. Jamie Brizick, another sports surf journalist and pro surfer. Elisa Schwarstein Keynes, right? She was on a tour 84 to 96. Um, We've got Bonnie Crail, who was the manager of Ocean Pacific. Right, Rochelle Ballard. She was around 1990 to 2007. Graham Cassidy, an ASP executive director. Lisa Anderson, she was around 89 to 2002. Lynn Beachley, she was 90 to 2008. Stephanie Gilmore and Sophie Goldschmidt are also featured, right? And the gist of the film is this: it's the 1980s, and the world of professional surfing is a circus of fluoro colors, peroxide hair, and radical male egos. Girls Can't Surf follows the journey of a band of renegade surfers who took on the male dominated professional surfing world to achieve equality and changed the sport forever. Featuring surfing greats Jodie Cooper, Frida Zambo, Pauline Menza, Lisa Anderson, Pam Burridge, Wendy Boffer, Lane Beachley, and more. Girls Can't Surf is a wild ride of clashing personalities, sexism, adventure, and heartbreak, with each woman fighting against the odds to make their dreams competing a reality. So, you know, it's definitely interesting, taking a look at this. I mean, look, essentially you kind of know what's going to be here, right? The fact that, women are getting paid less, made to serve in worse conditions, just all of that, right? You can just imagine what it was probably like back in the 80s, right? Because it's just the same story as just all other sports and professions and whatnot, right? At the inception, there was, these weird lines drawn, right? So we get to, you know, see behind the curtain, as it were, slightly. It's interesting because, again, with all of these things, right? You see, as they talk about the male ego, the women have egos too, right? The women's have egos too. And like even years later, right? The way some of them talk about each other or just what's going on, and it's kind of crazy, right? You gotta laugh a little. People talking be like, well, if I was still surfing, that person would never have won those world championships, and just stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, I mean, maybe they would have, you know, who knows? But there's no real need to try and pour water on their achievements, right? You know what I mean? So that's all a little crazy. Like it's the 80s, so the fashion is insane, right? The swimsuits there are to surf in. Oh, the cut is ridiculous, right? It is friggin' ridiculous. Now, one thing that I would have been interested to know, right? Because you have these women talking about, their experiences and everything like that. And then, right, we have some male surf journalists, former surfers, and then talking, right, about, oh yes, and it was like this, and oh, these women, they were forced to do this, and behind the scenes you could see that the governing body was doing this, and oh, it's terrible. We never, right? We never really understood what they may have done, right? Because they were journalists through all of this, but we never had, okay, all right, that's really interesting, Nick. It's really interesting, Jamie, Ian. Now, so when you tried to tell the stories of, Pam, Wendy, Pauline, etc., Frida, Jodie, what happened? Right? What did your bosses say? When you tried to take these stories on, or like what happened? Right? Because it's all well and good. People after the fact going, oh yeah, it was terrible. Oh yeah, and you saw the conditions. Oh, and the pay and blah blah blah. But it's just like, okay, but did you did you try and add your voice? Right? What did you do? What were you, what was your role in all of this? Right? Never got that. Never got that. And like they talk about the guys, the experiences, guys that did certain things and all of this. Then there was the quick little mentions of, oh yeah, and some guys took me under their wing and helped me and blah blah blah. And at the very end, there's a, oh, this goes out to yeah, the guys that helped. But it's just like, who? Because in these sorts of situations, there, look, there is no doubt there was a lot of people against, right? There was footage of surfers going, oh, women can't surf, just all of that kind of thing. But there's gonna be those ones that are just like, oh, look, they surf better than me, like they're as good as me. All of this, and even the whole, they're better. It's just not even a competition, right? I think it's kind of crazy trying to make those comparisons when you consider the human body, right? Women lighter, you know what I mean? So you kind of figure, oh, right, it's like rock climbing. You think, oh, bouldering especially, right? I always feel bouldering is definitely going to be easier for women because they're lighter and, body weight isn't pulling them down. Now, you then take into consideration muscle strength, right, which plays into it. But there's all of these different things that mean, certain people can do certain things, other people can do other things, right? So it's not necessarily, oh, these are better. It's just like, when you consider all of these different constraints, these is what these people can do. You feel me? So against people of the same build, look, they're very good. They're the best. You know what I mean? But it's kind of that. But yeah, you get this look at the situation, but I feel we don't go that deep, right? We don't go as deep as we could have, to find out what was going on. Like the guys that were helping, the guys that were complete dicks, the girls, right? Because it is collective bargaining with things like this. So, right? There's going to be some girls who are just like, you know what? I don't want to disrupt. I'm happy with the way things are, right? And especially the times when people are successful, they a lot of the times the ones that don't want to rock the boat because it's like, you know what, I'm getting mine, so I'm golden, right? And it would have been interesting for that. It would have been interesting to hear, right, from a Billabong sponsor, person, and find out what was their thinking about the pay situation and just all of that, right? Because you heard the girls talk about, right? So, oh, when we were getting these sponsors, the money was getting filtered to the men, right? So it's just like, okay, what's going on, right? Why did that happen? It would have been interesting to get that. Interesting to hear from the surfing competitions and go, all right, why were you trying to get the girls to go out in the shit waves, right? What was that thinking? Why not either increase the days in which these competitions took, maybe use two locations? You know what I mean? So then to both lots of people get good weight. Like, what is the thinking? Right? Though that I would have been really fascinated to hear that. Right? Because we know what happened, but it's why did that happen sometimes? That would have been fascinating. You know what I mean? And we didn't necessarily get that, which was interesting, which is just interesting and frustrating. I mean, the one big truth that we did see, right, is we see images of, footage of like these girls back in, when they were surfing, and then footage of them now, right? The one big thing, the sun fucks you up. Jeez. Right? You can see sun damage galore, right? And I imagine none of these were wearing sunblock, right? And yeah, I think this is a good advertisement to why people use sunblock, man. You know what I mean? It's doesn't do good things to your skin. You feel me? But yeah, girls can't surf. You know, if you enjoy a documentary, if you enjoy a sports documentary, right? This is very interesting. You know, as I said, look, I don't feel we got everything we could have gotten. You know, which is a shame. We do run that, you know, that old bane of the music, right? Music beds where you don't need music, it's just irritating and distracting, you know? There is that going through this whole thing, and you're like, why? Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? Grr. The other weird thing, right? They bring up the girls' names and they'll say, oh, they were surfing between these times, but they don't say like world champion, right? That would have been another interesting thing to put up, being like world champion, like 4 times world champion, 5 times world champion. Like, why don't you? Why wasn't that put up? Right in the piece, they'll talk and go, "Oh yeah, that was yeah, she won the tour. Oh, and she did." You know, but it's just like, why don't you put that stat up there with their name? You know, it's a bit weird. It's baffling why they chose not to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, there were some weird choices made, right? There was definitely some weird choices made on the production side of this. You know, but it is what it is. You know, listen, as I said, if you like a sports dog, you know, we've seen some good skating ones. Was it the wall? I feel it was the wall, right? The one about the Olympic rock climbing, and we followed those 4 young ladies on that, right? So if you enjoyed this sort of documentary, Girls Can't Surf is now in cinemas. So people, yeah, go check it out, find out what happened. Find out what happened. You know, it's a little intriguing. You know what I mean?